Hi, I'm Rose Velasco from Rose Velasco Coaching and the ECS Health Club, and this is yoga for happy hips and shoulders. Let's get started by coming to a seat cross-legged on a blanket on your mat. Sit nice and tall. You can use blocks underneath the knees if you wish. If your hips are a little tight today, place the hands on the knees, palms facing down. Take a deep breath in. Exhale audibly. Just allow the day thus far to begin to melt away with each breath. Start to increase your inhalations, allowing your diaphragm to flex and the belly to expand. Carrying that breath into the upper chest, using the three-part breath that we'd gone over in a previous video. Take a few moments to notice any tension or holding in the body, and breathe into those areas and just releasing that tension. The eyes are closed, the jaw is loose, and the space between the eyes is relaxed. Feel the cool air as it moves in past the nostrils, and the warm air as it exhales out through the nostrils. Good. Take a moment to bring an intention into your practice today. Perhaps an intention for the movement that you're making on your mat, or an intention to carry the strength that you find on the mat into the rest of your day. Allow any internal or external disturbances to take you deeper into your practice today. And drop the chin to the chest and breathe into the back of the neck here. Lifting the chin up through, reaching it towards the sky, stretching the front of the neck. And then bringing the chin back parallel to the earth. Turning the head to the right, looking over the right shoulder. And then taking it to the opposite side, gazing over the left shoulder. Very nice, bringing the nose back forward. Draw the shoulders forward, up, back, and down, making these large shoulder circles a few times. Taking those circles in the opposite direction, inhaling them back and up, exhaling them forward and down. Good. Let's take the right hand behind the sacrum onto the mat. And the left hand to the mat in front of you. Inhale the spine nice and tall and begin to twist belly, ribs, and shoulders over to the right. Perhaps the head gazes over the right shoulder. Relax the left knee and hip. We'll take the head around center and the rest of the body to follow. And moving on to the other side, the left hand comes behind you on the mat. The right hand comes to the mat in front of you. Again, sitting nice and tall. Inhale, lengthen up through the spine. Exhale, belly, ribs, and shoulders twist to the left. Bringing the head back around center, the rest of the body to follow. Let's place the hands on the knees now and do a seated cat-cow. As we inhale, draw the chest forward, shoulders back, lift the chin. Exhale, shoulders forward, chin to chest, round into the upper back. Take this a few more times. Inhale as we come forward with the heart. Exhaling back, just loosening up the spine here a little. Good. Sitting nice and tall again, we'll release the legs out in front of us, shake them out. And then bring the soles of the feet together into butterfly. Sit at the edge of your blanket so that the hips are slightly tipping forward. You can place the hands on the ankles here. If you wish, you can take a block and place it on top of the feet and then hinge forward at the hip creases. You can allow the head to rest on the block. Or if you'd like, you can just allow the body to be hinged forward and letting the weight of the head bring some more opening into the back of the neck. Breathe into the muscles of the outer hips, into the glutes. Perhaps you'd like to walk your hands forward if this is in your practice today. If you feel any uncomfortableness in your lower back, simply lessen the forward fold just a little. If your hands aren't already to the mat, you can take them there and support yourself as you come back up. Place the hands to the outer knees, help the knees up. Extend the legs again. And then start to percussion the T-band on the outer edges of the thighs and into the glutes with soft fists. Just bringing a lot of blood flow into that tight, oftentimes tight, outer T-band that runs along the outer thighs. All right. Now let's take it to tabletop position. Placing the knees directly under the hips and the wrists underneath the shoulders. Fingers are splayed wide and we're pressing down evenly through all of the finger pads and the knuckle pads. The spine is nice and neutral. Crown of head is facing forward. Tops of the feet are to the mat. Taking our cat-cow here, as we inhale, lift the tailbone, drop the belly, lift the chest and the chin. Exhale, curling the tailbone under, navel to spine, chin to chest. Take this at the pace of your own breath. Inhaling to cow and exhaling to that shape of a Halloween cat. Very nice. One more time. And after that final exhale, come back to a neutral spine. Extend the right leg behind you. Toe pads are curled under on the mat. Sink the weight of the body back into the heel, getting a nice stretch into the back of the calf. Don't allow the head and the shoulders and the body to be swaying down. And make this an active pose, pressing the mat away from us, navel to spine, but still breathing here. Full inhales and complete exhales. Lowering the right knee to the mat and extending the left leg back. Sinking back into the heel, getting that nice stretch again through the back of the left calf. Where our attention flows or goes, energy flows. So bring awareness to any tight spaces in the legs here and let the breath move the energy to those places. Very nice. Lowering that left knee down to the mat. Let's take the big toes together now and the knees mat width apart. Sink the hips back to the heels and reach the arms far in front of you. Come into that extended child's pose and perhaps you take a block underneath the forehead. If it feels more comfortable for you to bring your forehead to the mat, please do so. Soften and release into the shoulders here. Good. Lifting the head up, walking the hands back. We come back to tabletop position. Curling the toes under here. Toe pads on the mat. Again, fingers are nice and wide. Press down firmly through the hands. Lift the knees and scoop the hips back and up into downward facing dog. Allow the torso to rest down onto the arm bones and then spin the triceps back so they're facing towards the back of the mat. You want to allow those shoulder blades to be nice and wide here. Imagine them sliding to the outer edges of the rib cage. Keep the tailbone lifting up towards the sky and you can start to pedal the feet here. If you need to have a bend into the knees to support the low back, reaching that tailbone towards the sky, please do. The ears are in line with the biceps. We're pressing down through the large knuckle of the thumb and the index finger. Good. Taking the final toes of downward facing dog, allow the ankles to soften. Maybe the heels touch the ground, maybe they don't. Maybe there's a micro bend into the knees. Good. Now place the strength into one of the hands as we move the blanket off to the side. Coming back to our downward facing dog, look up at the hands, walk, step, or hop the feet. up and between them, coming into a forward fold. Again, here you may have a micro bend into the knees, allowing the belly to rest on the upper thighs. Release the neck, allowing the head to hang heavy. Good. Placing the hands onto the ankles or shins, lift halfway up, reaching the crown of the head forward, rolling the shoulders back, straighten the legs. Deep inhale here, and as you exhale, release back down into Uttanasana, forward fold. Pressing firmly down through the balls of the feet. Hinging upward at the hip creases. Nice flat back here, arms out to the side and up, coming to extended Tadasana. Reaching towards the sky, wearing the shoulders like earrings, and then allowing those shoulder blades to drop down the back. Bringing space between the arms and the ears. Palms come together overhead, lowering the hands down through center line to heart center. And then releasing the hands to the sides for mountain pose. Your eyes may be open or closed here. If they're closed, open them and look down at the feet, being certain that the feet are hips distance apart. Lift the toes and feel all four corners of the feet grounding down. Inner and outer heel, big toe mound, little toe mound. And then lower the toes back down. Good. Bringing some dynamic movement into this practice today. Inhale, arms out to the side and up. Exhale, hinging forward at the hip creases, arms out to the side and down, Uttanasana. Step the right foot back nice and far into runner's lunge, the knees directly above the ankle. If you wish, you can take some blocks underneath the hands here. Try not to place the weight into that left thigh. Make it nice and dynamic, reaching the crown of the head forward and the heel back. Very nice. Moving the blocks out of the way. Plant the hands, step the left foot back to meet the right in the top of a push-up. Navel is to spine, a nice plank position here. Continue to breathe. We're going to hold this for a few moments as we're strengthening into the shoulders, the arms, the wrists. Let's take the knees to the mat. Exhale the chest forward and down, keeping the elbows in towards the rib cage. Shoulders are back. Lowering down onto the belly. Slide the hands forward slightly. Inhale the heart forward and up, keeping the elbows in, cobra pose. Pressing the tops of the feet to the mat. Lowering the chest now, pressing the mat away from us, bringing the hips back to the heels into child's pose. Take an inhale to come back up to tabletop position, curling the toes under, exhale the hips up and back. Downward facing dog once again. Looking between the hands, we're going to step the right foot next to the right thumb. If you need to lower the knees down, step that right foot forward and then lift the left knee back up. We want to make certain, again, the knee is directly above the ankle. We can take the blocks back underneath the hands here. Find a sense of effort and ease in this pose. Sthira Sukham Asanam. Very nice. Pressing down through the ball of the right foot. stepping the left foot next to the right, Uttanasana, forward fold, releasing the head. And inhale, we hinge up at the hip creases, nice flat back, arms out to the side and up, extended Tadasana. Exhale, Pranamasana, hands at heart center. We just completed classical sun salutations. We'll be taking this one breath per movement now. Inhale, extended Tadasana, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, step the left foot back, runner's lunge. Hold the breath in as you step the right foot back, top of a push-up. Exhale, the knees, chest and chin forward and down. Inhale, heart forward and up, shoulders back and down. And then exhale takes us into child's pose, hips to heels. Inhale up to tabletop position, curl the toes under. Exhale, downward facing dog. Look up at the hands. Inhale, left foot next to left thumb. Exhale, right foot next to left, Uttanasana. Inhale, hinge up at the hip creases, extended Tadasana. Exhale, Pranamasana. And releasing the hands to the sides, mountain pose. Very nice. Let's take this classical sun salutations and bring in some modifications for opening up the hips. Inhale, extended Tadasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Step the right foot back. Lower the right knee down and grab those blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can always place the hands onto the knee here. Maybe wiggle those left toes forward just slightly and allow the hips to sink forward just a little, coming to that edge. In yoga, we want to be on the edge. We just don't want to go over the edge. Perhaps you have the toes of the back foot curled under here. If it feels better for your knee, you can bring the top of the foot to the mat. If you have blocks, bring them underneath the shoulders. Draw the low ribs in. We're going to be here for about a minute or so. Treating this as a yin pose as we begin to stretch into the fascia, the tendons and the ligaments of that right hip and the hip flexors. For those of you with a desk job, sitting all the time can actually begin to shorten the hip flexor, bringing much tightness to the hips. This is an excellent pose for opening up. If this is hard on your knee, you can always take the blanket underneath the knee here. Make certain the knee doesn't come forward from the ankle. 3 more breaths here. Good. Shift the hips back. And then begin to straighten into that left leg, drawing the hip back and flexing the foot. Gentle forward fold here. Breathing into any tight spaces. Good. Let's rock it forward. Take the blocks in front of us. Plant the hands around the left foot. Straighten into the right leg and step that left foot back into the top of a push-up. Again, we're going to be here in this plank pose for a few moments, so continue to breathe. We won't be lowering down into Chaturanga or Surya Namaskar. We stay here in plank. You may notice your arms start to shake a little. We're really just strengthening into the shoulders here. Happy hips and shoulders is all about loosening the hips and strengthening the shoulders. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. You may need to step the feet forward slightly. Keep the spaces between the shoulder blades nice and wide. Soften the ankles. Come back to your breath. And then look up between the hands and step the right foot next to the right thumb. Whatever it looks like for you to get there, you may need to lower that left knee. Coming back to runner's lunge, we have our blocks. We're going to lower the left knee if it isn't already. Wiggle those right toes forward a little. Sink the hips forward and down. Again, if you don't have blocks, you can place the hands onto the knee for support. Soften the jaw. If you notice that perhaps your breath is becoming labored from that plank pose, come back to the breath. And to regulate it. Making your inhales the same length as your exhales. Three more breaths here. Good. Shifting the hips back, straighten into the right leg. Draw the toes back towards the nose. Draw that right hip back, almost as if you're dragging the heel back towards you. Surrender to the weight of the head. Lowering the sole of the right foot back to the mat, bringing the blocks forward, straighten into that left leg, coming back to runner's lunge. You can move the blanket off to the side again if you wish. That might be in your way. We're going to rock forward, stepping the left foot next to the right, Uttanasana, forward fold. Pressing down through the feet, hinging up at the hip creases, arms out to the side and up. Nice deep inhale for extended Tadasana. Exhale, Pranamasana. Release the hands, Tadasana. If you're feeling comfortable, close the eyes. Good. Opening the eyes now, inhale the arms above head, and then sink the hips back into chair pose. Arms are forward. You can bring the arms up, but I notice the belly falls forward and an arch in the low back. So I like to bring the hands forward the same height as the shoulders. Draw the shoulders back. And just breathe here. Take a deep inhale, and as we exhale, send the hips towards the sky and the hands towards the earth. Hands to shins or ankles. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold. Planting the hands, exhale, step or hop the feet back, top of a push-up. We're gonna step this up just a little bit. We're gonna lower the left elbow down and then the right. Come onto the hand of the left and then the right. We're gonna continue this, lowering down to a low plank, then coming to a high plank. Do this 5 times. Keeping the belly nice and tight into the spine, but continue to breathe. One more time. Good. When you come back to the high plank, lower the knees, exhale the chest and chin forward and down. Inhale up to cobra, shoulders back, elbows in. Exhale to downward facing dog. You can come through tabletop to get there. Look up at the hands, step the left foot next to left thumb, and then spin the right heel down. Circle the arms up to warrior 2. Check back in the back foot. The outer edge of the back foot is either parallel to the short edge of the mat or toes are coming in slightly. Soften the shoulders down by bringing the palms facing up. And then just spin at the wrists. Keeping the head over the heart over pelvis, low ribs are drawing in. Reach through those left fingertips, hinging through that left hip, left elbow to left knee, and then bring the arm along the horizon, opening the heart to the right side, drawing the shoulder back. Very nice. And then grab a block, bring it to that left ankle, come back up to warrior 2, heel toe that right foot in a little and straighten into the left leg. Now draw the right hip up and back, hinging through that left hip crease again, reaching through the left fingertips. Bring the hand to the block. And then draw the right arm up towards the sky. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Have a micro bend into that left knee here. And keep pressing down through the big toe mound of the left foot. Perhaps you're looking up towards the right hand. Bending into the left knee, coming back to warrior 2. Place the hands onto the hips here and bring the toes pointing towards the corners of the long edge of the mat. Bend into the knees. Coming to Devyasana, goddess pose, also known as horse pose. Breathe here, belly's drawing in, we're not allowing the belly to fall forward. Take it to 5-pointed star, place the hands on the hips, kick the heels outward so the outer edges of the feet are parallel to the outer edges of the mat, and then hinge forward at the hip creases. You can grab that block, place them underneath the hands. We're not sinking back into the heels. Check in with alignment that the hips are in line with the ankles. Surrender the weight of the head. Lift up halfway. Micro bend into the knees, hands to the hips, and coming back up. Let's spin the toes of the right foot to facing towards the back of the mat, and then kick that left heel back slightly, bending into the right knee. Take that block with you. We're coming back to warrior two, only on the other side here. Knee is directly above the ankle or slightly behind. Again, head over heart, heart over pelvis. Looking over those right fingertips. Hinging through that right hip crease, reaching through the fingers, taking the right elbow to the right knee and sweeping that left arm along the horizon, bringing the bicep near the ear, but keeping space there. Draw the low ribs in. Parsva side ankle. Come back up to warrior two. Straighten into the right leg. Heel toe that left foot in a little, and then hinge through those right hip crease again. We're really pulling that left hip up and back. Placing the block next to the ankle. Opening the body to the long edge of the mat once again for Trikonasana. Slight micro bend to the right knee. We don't want to hyperextend here. That's my dog wanting to come outside, but he jingles the thing on the door. Okay. Good. Come back up to warrior two, hands to the hips. We're going to spin up onto the toes of the left foot, coming to a high lunge. And then framing the hands around the right ankle, planting those hands, stepping the right foot back to the left to the top of a push-up. We're going to take that dynamic movement again as we lower down onto the right forearm, left forearm, and then onto the right hand, left hand. Take this 5 times. Continue to breathe as you do. One more time. Good. Let's lower the knees. Take the mat with the part big toes together. Sink the hips back to the heels, child's pose. Release the forearms, the shoulders, any tension in the hips. And then come back up to tabletop position. Curl the toes under. Come to downward facing dog. Look up at the hands. Step the right foot next to the right thumb. We're coming to a high lunge. So inhale the arms forward and up. If you're feeling a little wobbly, just hop the left foot to the left a little, so we're more on train tracks rather than on a tightrope. Take a deep breath in here. And as you exhale, bend into the left knee, lower it a little, and draw the elbows into the side. Inhaling up, straighten into the right leg, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Good, inhale up, bend into the right knee, frame the hands around that right ankle, step the right foot back, top of a push-up. Lower the knees, exhale the chest forward and down, elbows in towards the sides. Tops of the feet to the mat, inhale forward and up for cobra. Lower the chest, come to downward facing dog. Looking between the hands, step the left foot next to the left thumb. Hop that right foot onto the train tracks. Press down through the left heel. Inhale, arms up. Bringing that dynamic movement again. Deep inhale into your high lunge. Exhale, elbows towards the side, bend the right knee. Inhale up, take this 5 times. Straighten that left leg, exhale. Bend, inhale, straighten. 3, 4, and 5. Inhale up, bend the left knee, high lunge. Lower the hands down, step the right foot next to the left, Uttanasana. Nice neutral spine, hinge up at the hip creases, arms out to the side and up. Exhale, Pranamasana, hands at heart center. Release the hands to the sides, mountain pose. Come back to your breath. Now while you remain facing the short edge of your mat, I'm going to turn so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to come into eagle pose. It's a balancing pose, and when we do a balancing pose, we want to find a drishti point. A drishti is focusing on something that's not moving, almost as if you're looking through it. This helps you stay concentrated and focused on that one point. As you slightly bend into the knees, come up onto the toes of that right foot. Lift the knee up nice and high and cross the leg. You can have your hands at the hips or out to the side, crossing the leg over. So if it's in your practice, you can have the toes on the mat here for balance. You can lift it up, or you can wrap that foot around the left calf. Now the right leg is crossed over, so we're going to cross the left arm over. You can bring the palms together. Whoop. You can leave your arms out to the side, or you can just grab a hold of the shoulders, bend into that left knee, sinking the hips back a little bit more for eagle pose. Keep an eye on your drishti. Continue to breathe. Press down through the left foot, come back up to standing, and just take a moment of reflection here. You find yourself holding your breath when you balance. Do you clench your jaw? Do you furrow the brow? So let's take us again on the other side. I'll do this so you can see what it looks like on the side. We're pressing down through the right foot this time, coming up onto the toes of the left foot. Again, hands can be at the hips here or out to the side. Bending into that right knee, lifting the left up. We're going to keep an eye on that drishti point. Cross the leg high and then bend in deeper to that right knee. Bringing the arms out to a T position. This time we're crossing the right arm over the left. You can interlock the hands as well, but I have torn shoulder. So I am just placing the hands on the shoulders. Relax and breathe. Find Sthira Sukham Asanam. Good. Press down through the right leg. Return the left foot to the mat. Come back to your breath. Your arms are released to the sides. Good. Notice I have gotten in the shade a little bit here on this video. I hope you can still see me pretty good. We're coming to the short edge of the mat now, the front of the mat. Toes are slightly pointing outward, just a little. Feet are mat width apart. Inhale the arms out to the side and up. Palms come together. As we exhale the hands down through center line, we bend into the knees. If you have a block nearby and this is hard on the ankles or hard on the knees, you can place a block at the medium setting. I don't suggest the taller setting. Or if it's in your practice, sink the hips all the way down. Draw the palms towards the heart center, the thumbs at the sternum. Good. You can press the elbows into the inner thighs. Allow some opening towards the inner hips here. Good. Let's place the hands on the mat behind us. Straighten. Come to seated on your sits bones. Reach the legs out in front of you. And then we're going to open up the hips to the long edge of the mat as we bend into the right knee. Draw that heel in towards the groin. If you need a block underneath that knee, please feel free. Keeping that left foot flexed. Placing the hands onto the mat in front of you, walking the hands forward. Just treating this as a yin pose. You can relax into the left ankle, not keeping the foot flexed anymore. Breathing into the fascia, the tendons and the ligaments of that left inner thigh. Soften the jaw and the space between the eyebrows. Support yourself as you come back up. You can move the block if it's underneath the knee. And then place that left hand underneath that left knee and help it up. We'll extend the right leg. We're switching sides now. Extend the right leg. Keep that right leg foot flexed at first, bringing the left heel in towards the groin. Sitting nice and tall here. Again, if you would like a block underneath that left knee or a blanket, please feel free. Sitting nice and tall. Walking the hands forward as we just come into a gentle forward fold. And then soften that right ankle. If at any time this is a bit much on the back of that right leg, you can always place a rolled up blanket underneath the knee. A few more breaths here. Support yourself as you come back up to a tall seated position. Remove the blanket if you have one there. Bring the hand behind the knee and help it up. Good. We're now in a Sukhasana position, sitting nice and tall, looking over one shoulder and then the other. We're going to come back to that butterfly position. So the soles of the feet together. You can draw the ankles in closer towards the groin, or if you'd like, you can move them further away, whatever's in your practice. We'll be here for a couple of minutes, so if you'd like to take that block and place it on top of the feet, start to hinge forward at the hip creases, placing the head on the block. If it's in your practice, you can take clamshell, and this is where you thread the arms underneath the calves and the shins, bring the hands to the ankles here, and then release to the weight of the head. Allow this time to release any thoughts that may be oscillating in the mind. Just set the intention to slow those thoughts down. To not worry about what's going on later in the day. Just be here now on your mat, in your body. Now, wherever you may be, you can unthread your arms if you're in clamshell, or support yourself as you come back up to a seated position. Take the hands to the outer knees, help them up. And we're going to take everyone's favorite pigeon pose. So, let me see if I can move my mat further into the sun. See this, maybe? All right. I like to have a block at the front. I like to take a blanket and fold it up, much like this. We're going to take that to the right side of the mat and come to tabletop position. Now, the blanket is to place underneath that right hip if it's not reaching the ground. In tabletop position, slide the left knee up towards the left wrist, and then the left ankle towards the right wrist. If it's in your practice, the shin will be parallel with the front edge of your mat. Now let's scoot the right leg back, and then take that blanket and place it under the left hip. If your left hip is not touching the earth. Just a little bit of support. We're going to stay here in an upright pigeon for a moment. The right foot, top of the foot is to the mat. Really opening into that hip flexor, the psoas. This muscle is the muscle that holds our trauma. It's the muscle that keeps us, that is tense in that fight or flight mode that we tend to be in a fast-paced world. A lot of stress and tension. Sometimes when we take pigeon pose, we can feel emotions coming up. This is a time to release those emotions and let the mat absorb them. Let Mother Earth absorb them. When you're ready, you can start to walk the hands forward, coming onto the elbows. Perhaps you'd like to take a block underneath the forehead. And feel this into the outer left hip now. If pigeon pose is not available for your knees, you can always take this on your back. I'll show you here. We're laying on our back, coming to a figure 4. So the soles of the feet are to the mat. We're drawing that left knee into the chest and then externally rotating, placing that left ankle above the right knee onto the thigh, keeping that foot flexed. This may be where you're at today. If you'd like to go a little further, lift the right foot off of the mat, interlace the fingers behind that right thigh, and then press the left elbow into the left thigh. Keeping the left foot flexed, you can relax the right ankle. Maybe this is your pigeon. This is reclined pigeon or figure 4. Or maybe you're still in traditional pigeon. Wherever you're at, if you're on your back, lower the right foot back to the earth, and then the left foot. If you are in traditional pigeon, you're going to support yourself as you come back up, turn the toes of the right foot under, press the hands into the mat as you come back up to tabletop position, and move the blanket to the other side. Moving on to the other side, we'll draw that right knee up towards the right wrist and the right ankle towards the left wrist, and then scoot the hips back. This is where we're going to take that blanket underneath the right hip this time. Maybe your right hip rests down on the earth and you don't need the blanket. But if you find you're like coming over onto the side, we want to keep the hips level to the mat here. And maybe that right hip is a little tight and not quite reaching the mat. That's okay. That's what props are for. So staying here in this upright position for a moment. Stop it, please. No. And then we'll walk the hands forward, coming onto the forearms. And maybe bringing that block underneath the forehead again. Again, using this as a yin pose, softening through all of the muscles in the body, just surrendering. Ishvara Pranadhana. Slowly coming out of this pose, we're going to do it a little bit different. Supporting your body as you come back up. Moving the blanket out of the way, we're going to roll onto that right hip and draw that left leg around in front of us. Easy peasy. Now we're going to get ready to take our Shavasana. I like to take a blanket and fold it this long way, like this. Set that off to the side for now. Roll onto the back. Bend it to the knees and then draw the knees into the chest and give yourself a nice big hug here. Placing the hands on the knees, you can make knee circles, massaging the low back into the mat. That's nice. And then extending the legs long. Heels are mat width apart. We're going to place this folded blanket right over the tops of the hips. If this is too much for your low back, you can also place the blanket underneath the knees instead. Press the back of the head into the mat. Shimmy the shoulder blades together just gently, just enough to where it's comfortable to place the arms out to the sides, palms facing up. Soften the jaw. Allow the eyes to rest heavy in their sockets. Take a nice deep breath in and let it all go. Place your awareness to the space between the eyebrows, to Ajna, the place of intuition, our third eye. Travel inward and let go. Feel free to stay in Shavasana as long as you like. I want to thank you for joining me for this class today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.